Hey juniors, so for your assignment this week and bridging into next week is we're going to be talking about different types of writing and the purposes of writing and how to construct writing. And all of this is twofold. One, to review what you've learned the past 3 years between myself, Miss Luskin, Miss Eggleston, and Miss Brown. And second layer is to prepare you for Mrs. Scarkelli. Okay, she and I have talked quite a lot this summer. I know her curriculum pretty well, and I want to lay some ground pieces for you, so you can walk into senior year going, oh, yeah, that kind of sounds familiar. I got this. So one of the things that you really need to understand is that there's 3 different types of writing, and each type of writing has a different purpose. And one of the things you'll be doing next year as seniors is analyzing author's purpose big time. What is the author's purpose? Okay. So 3 types of writing first. You have expository writing. Think of it, the root is to expose. Okay, you're exposing truths, fact, material. This type of writing you typically see in textbooks, newspapers and journalism, not opinions or editorials. Those are very different. Okay, business letters, manuals, stuff like that. It is expository, telling me how to change the oil in my car. They don't need any flowery language. That is expository. Argumentative, argue. Okay, you're trying to persuade the reader to do what you want them to do. Okay, and for those of you who had me in 9th grade, when we go To Kill a Mockingbird, Atticus's closing argument, we talk about the elements of argumentation and Aristotle's 3 argumentative appeals to really hone in on how does Atticus craft his argument to persuade the jury to free Tom Robinson, even though they don't, because yay, 1930s Alabama. And then the last one, and the one we're going to focus on for at least this week and bridging into next week, is narrative. Narrative, narrate, to tell a story. Narrative writing tells a story. It could be a true story or imaginary story. Okay, so you definitely find it in any fiction writing. You also find it in poetry. You find it in biographies, memoirs. They're all telling stories. And you also find them in human interest pieces, which are pieces that we'll be looking at next week. Okay, leading into next week. So this narrative thread of telling a story is going to go all the way through the next 10 days. So part of your assignment today, besides showing me that you know those 3 different types of writing and what they are, copying down those notes for me, let's start crafting your narrative. Because those of you who are planning to go to college next year, one of the things you do with Mrs. Scarkelli pretty early in the year, or at least in the past, things change, is doing your college essay. And your college essay is a narrative. So I want to know, and you can just do bullet points. There's bullet points on your document. What are 5 things that come to your mind when I say, what's your story? Like, what is your story? What can you tell me about you that makes you you and your values? Okay, so, fair is fair. Okay, a big part of my story, I'm a mom. I mean, they don't lie when they say parenthood changes you. Okay, I'm a mom. I am a wife. I am a teacher. I knew from a young age, I had a chalkboard in my room growing up. I was that stereotypical kid who had my dolls lined up on the floor while I taught them their ABCs. And I remember coming home after a pretty amazing unit, which is sad. I don't even remember what the unit is. But spending time with Mrs. Elliott, my 7th grade English teacher at Coda High School, or Coda Junior High School at Shenendehowa, and coming home at dinner and being like, I'm going to be an English teacher. That's going to be my job. And that's what I've worked for ever since. Speaking of work, a big part of my story is how ridiculously hard both of my parents worked. 2 jobs, 6 days a week to give us what we needed. Okay, it was never about extravagance. We grew up in a single wide trailer. I know a lot of people think Clifton Park, ooh, fancy. No. Okay, we grew up in a single wide trailer. Mom and Dad worked 6 days a week. My brother and I were alone, kind of like starting at the age of 9 when my brother was 9, so I would be 6. Because you couldn't always afford daycare type of thing. So that's a huge part of my story is my parents' influence of working so very hard to provide us with what we needed. Okay. And I guess the fifth part of my story, kind of tying back to my fourth piece, was the power of education, and just having that goal and those drives, those goals and that drive, and that I am the first out of, I think, God, there's like 20 of us, my cousins, aunts and uncles, 20 cousins, and then obviously their parents would be my aunts and uncles. I am the first one in our generation to graduate college. I am the first one to get my master's degree. Okay. My brother did go to college, but he was asked to leave after 2 years. This Buffalo Canisius had enough of Daniel. But yeah, just I guess seeing that and seeing the financial strain that put on my parents really impacted me in my college decision making and what choices I was going to make, type of thing. So those would be 5 things that I think are pretty strong in my narrative. And I just want to know 5 quick bullet points. What would be a part of your narrative? What's a part of your story? And then this is something too, if it kind of gets the juices going for you, you can definitely hold on to. And when you do your college essay or narrative essay for Mrs. Scarkelli, you'll at least have a couple pieces to draw from. So that's what I got for you today. If you have questions, need help, you know where to reach me. I'll be on Google Meet until 11. After that, I will be available via email. Okay? Good luck.